Do you know what, Stuart? You know, earlier in the week we were discussing the monocle.
I do remember that.
I said, I bet there's someone now in Brighton where it was specified as wearing a monocle.
Are you talking about me?
And Phil Hartnoll has got round his neck. Well, it looks like a monocle, but it does flick out into.
Oh, that is. Into a sort of pince nez.
That's what I said. Phil and Paul from Orbital are here. How you doing, guys?
Fine, thanks.
Really good. Day trip out from Brighton, is it?
That's right. Yeah.
And what a day you've chosen to come on Antiques Roadshow. We were just saying, I wonder, would you? Has anyone ever been on Antiques Roadshow with a vintage synth? I wonder.
I don't think so. But
you could do that. People are really into those things.
They're old enough.
What's your have you a treasured vintage bit of a kit?
Putney and a Cricklewood,
Fantastic. Which are the old EMS synthesizers that came in a briefcase?
Wooden sort of thing. The wooden pre-briefcase version.
Do you have a big sort of archive or a lockup full of old analogue gear?
But it's called a studio.
So do you still use it all?
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Can you use it live, or is it not reliable enough?
You can. We always use 303 and a Jupiter 6, which is one of my first synths that I got from a second-hand shop in Sevenoaks, and I always take it live. I love it.
All right, okay.
So did you get into it at the same time? Did you both get into electronic music, techno music at the same time?
We were working for our dad, building company, and you read a review, didn't you, of a drum machine in the Melody Maker, I think it was, and said, I think I'm going to get one of them.
Yeah.
And I played the guitar at the time and had some distortion units, and we got the two together, and it just went from there, didn't it?
Well, I first heard Kraftwerk when I was about 10 from their elder brother.
Okay.
And so it was like that was the first thing that spun me out. Also, it's a concept album. It's like about motorway.
Autobahn.
About motorbike. Yeah. And
I reckon that was
electronic
probably
sound. Yeah.
I reckon I'd probably about the same time because it was a hit, wasn't it? You could hear it on Radio 1 in the day.
It was a massive novelty record. Even me, age 7, I heard it and just thought, it's about cars and roads, and it was like the scale electrics of music.
That's such a brilliant description. Yeah. They should take that on board. Welcome to the scale electrics of music, you could say, above their heads when they're in those funny Lycra costumes, yeah.
So Monsters Exist is the new Orbital record. First one for 6 years, out on the 14th of September. So you had certain monsters in mind without wishing to specify. I imagine we can all pick out a couple of them.
Pick out your favourites. There's plenty to choose from in this current political climate.
He's a warning. It's more like a warning, really. They are out there. Actually, I think Theresa May showed her true colours. She's not actually a monster. She's actually a modern day android, which is a bit like an old-fashioned puppet, really, with a
the robotic.
As soon as you heard those African drums, it all came out, didn't it?
Right.
She was like robot.
We talked about
robots can be monsters.
She's an android.
You've not seen Terminator.
We talked about this a bit on the show, and we said that I felt a little sorry for her because who wants to be forced with the world's media looking on to start dancing with some kids?
Well, you don't see anybody else do it. I mean, that's ridiculous.
We would.
That's our job. Lots of people in this room. We're supposed to dance to music and enjoy it.
We've got rhythm.
We had a bit of a dance the last time we saw you. We were in the crowd for your set at Belfast, which was excellent.
We did.
Fantastic.
It was fantastic. Yeah.
It was a brilliant weekend.
It was.
But it's interesting that we associate political statements with, by and large anyway, with a fellow with an acoustic guitar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting that you've always kind of had music about stuff apart from just dancing in clubs.
I think it's kind of like scoring it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than sort of writing the lyric about it in particular. For me, I kind of like to score the mood and make music that makes you think about what's going on, or it conveys the feeling of what you feel like, rather than actually telling people what to think.
Superficially, there might be, we'll play The End Is Nigh a bit later on, and we're going to play now There Will Come a Time with Professor Brian Cox, unmistakably. Which might give people the impression it's quite a doomy sort of vision of a future, but it's not really that, is it? In a sense,
it's a bit of both. It could be.
It's like a lookout. I'd see it more as a warning, really.
Yeah, it's a warning. Let's turn it around. This is what you could
see
get.
What's going on here.
This is what, there's a few cautionary tales in there on this album, but, Brian's got a vision of hope through a lens of emo. as it
Although
were.
it is-
But it's, you know, it's
Brian Emo.
As you said, Brian Emo. Yeah.
Although it is that we're all going to turn to dust and the whole planet. We're all going to count for nothing.
You've got to face the facts.
You've got to face
that's
that.
just true, though, isn't it?
Well,
You know, but,
indeed.
you know,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but you know.
Well, this is a wonderful thing, I think. With There Will Come a Time featuring Brian Cox. So it's 7 and a bit minutes, so we might not play all of it because you come all the way from Brighton.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
want to
Talk to you,
talk to you.
Okay, fair enough.
But we'll have a good blast.
A little
of it.
blast.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of, although not in its entirety. There Will Come a Time.
2/3, I would say. Yeah,
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Orbital with Professor Brian Cox. I think that closes the new album.
It
Doesn't
does.
Yeah, that's
Orbital.
right,
And
Orbital.
Phil and Paul are here. So he said he came in and he sort of read things from the books, but then you had to structure it again, Phil.
I made a suggestion that he structured it, and then he went away and structured it. I don't know whether he was going to do that anyway, but
Right.
he came in and just read loads of bits from his book, and you know, and it was
He
all,
jammed, basically. He did a vocal
and
jam.
then we got an idea of what he was saying, then trying to get it into more of a
It was
song
good. It was
mode,
good.
more of a song.
It was really nice working with him because we kind of sat down. He did all this vocal jamming, as it were.
Yeah.
And we kind of all sat and went, "Yeah, that's good. That's a good idea." And he said, "Okay, I'm going to think about that," and took away his ideas and that kind of thing. He said,
You
"Well, I've-
started with the words then for this, and the words suggested the mood of the music, did they?
Yes and no, because I also had some bits that I'd been sort of playing with, under his voice before, and just sort of with voices that I thought this could be a good sort of flow of music.
Yeah.
And it all kind of fitted together.
Did he not try and get on the keys?
No,
He's got form. He's got form in that regard.
I locked him away.
I mean, one of the things, looking at the video of The End Is Nigh as well, I wasn't sure at first whether that was old footage or footage made to look. It looked like a kind of pagan ritual and hippies on a
Nice,
hillside.
good. I'm glad it
and
worked
things.
out like that. Yeah, very folk horror kind of, you know.
But I mean, one of the things saying, like, since the beginning of civilization, people have always been predicting its end, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
That's a human instinct.
I know.
isn't
I
it?
think we've lived through at least three
Exactly.
ends that didn't happen. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I read a great quote here. But say a little more about this. If we were both the same, it wouldn't be Orbital.
No, it wouldn't. No, we're chalk and cheese.
Are
We
you?
definitely are.
Really?
Yeah, we definitely are. Yeah.
And does that dynamic
No, we're not.
Here we are.
does that dynamic get into the music then somehow?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't speak for a very long time, did you? Do you look back on that now and think, God, we were stupid. Why did we do that? Or do you think it was a process you had to go through to now sort of bring Orbital around for the second time?
I think so. I think well, third time now.
Right,
This
yeah.
is third time lucky.
But not for me. I didn't understand it at all. He wouldn't talk to me.
Right. Yeah, well, that was the second. I spoke to you this first time.
Yeah.
This is after
After the second time I didn't speak to you, I was cross.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so it's a process, isn't it?
Sure.
Was
It's
that difficult for the wider family when you?
Totally. Christmases, birthdays, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
But also, for me, it was like, well, all these wonderful things, like Stephen
The things you've
Hawkins,
done.
all the wonderful things we've done with Orbital. It's like, well, what's the point of that? I can enjoy it.
Yeah.
No, but
Couldn't
it's
enjoy it
terrible
at
when you
all.
have
Couldn't
to when
enjoy
things
it
like
at
that
all.
happen.
So
But
it's great. So now, when we got back together, I just wanted to communicate with my brother, and everything now is a bonus, and everything is going so well. It's just like it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those things have dropped.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
Have
a
you
lot of
grown?
those
Have
things
you grown up? I mean, if anything arose now, could you sort it out now?
I think so now, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't think we'll split up again.
No.
is what I think will happen now. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before,
No, we're not gonna split up
before
again.
it had to happen at those times. There was no option at those times, because that's what happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this time that's not going to happen.
How's because you make music that involves technology. How's that changed? I mean, and I don't mean in a nerdy way, but the way you operate and the way bands like you operate changed massively since you
Can
started.
I answer in a nerdy way?
Yeah, answer in a nerdy way. Yeah,
No,
you
we'll
can't
never
answer
get off the air.
No, you
But,
can't answer in a nerdy way.
I
Nerd
think-
is good.
I
Nerd is
think-
cool.
Do you know what? It's just got like, not, I don't know if easier is the way that it's kind of expanded. You know, when we first started, you had a few synths and a 4-track, and when all sort of 4 tracks were full, that was the end of the song. You'd written your song. You know,
sequencer instead of a computer.
yeah. But now, computers and digital editing and recording is so massive on even just a laptop. It's the horizon is endless, but so in a way it can be daunting now, whereas before it was kind of innocent. It's like, I've got 3 synths, 2 drum machines, 4 tracks, go.
Is it right you did chime on your dad's cassette?
Yeah. I wanted to test the 4 tracks. It had 6 inputs, and I thought, wow, I could use 6 things instead of 4. But if I just bypass the tape on the 4 track and go master it, do it like a live recording. And that actually set up how we did most of the first 4 albums, I think, weren't they? Just recorded live through a desk straight onto DAT. No, there are no master tapes, no stems, no nothing. It was just everything we did was always arranged on a computer, and then all the sort of knob twiddling, and that was done as it went down live. And if you didn't like it, you did it again.
Would you always start collaboratively, or would you quite often start working on things separately and bring them to the table and then start kind of putting it together as an Orbital album? Or do you work together right from the offset?
No, it's all of the above. It's varied. Some tracks I just... I write, and sometimes we sit down in a room together, or sometimes I'll say, "Oh, look at this. What do you think of that?" And you go from there. But there's no sort of necessity for anything to be any particular way.
No. Yeah. And what about playing live and touring? Is that because that's when that's the last saw you in Belfast? That's clearly something that you enjoy. Orbital have always had a massive live presence, haven't they?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
It's.
I think it's a way we. I mean, we improvise with the structure of the song. So we've got like, there's buttons on there that you press. When you press the button, the bass drum goes up. That's the bass drum. The hi-hat, bass drum. They don't happen until Paul presses the button. And then it can either be a MIDI going out to all of our MIDI's trigger going to our MIDI synths, and then that comes back into our mixing desk. And so we've got effects on our mixing desk. So it's all one big. A track can last a minute or an hour, and I think that rawness and that liveness, people. There's a lot of bands that don't give the audience enough credit, really. They don't know what they hear, but they feel it. I think it's more of a vibe thing, really. Yeah. And I think that's where you can play electronic instruments like this in a jammy sort of way,
you do see some guys playing electronic music, and it is usually guys, sort of tapping at a laptop like they're doing the VAT returns. Watching you is not like that at all.
No, we're all like busy. Yeah,
I've already done my VAT return by the time I get on stage. But no, it's a case of playing with all the synths and the structures. We've got I think at least 7 great big blunderbuss analog synths up there. Yeah. And it's just a world of fun. Yeah. It's just great fun. And that thing, I've had restriction in the past doing stuff with other musicians, and I sit there and I watch the audience and think, this song's going to end, and I don't want it to, but there's nothing you can do. Yeah. Whereas with the way we're doing this, it's like tracks like the end is night. I keep going to end it, and I keep bringing it back because I just want to do a bit more. I'm going to break it down to that, and you kind of develop new ways of playing tracks, and that's one of the tracks that for me has kind of developed with the set recently, and it's still developing. I don't know where it's going to end up.
And it's great fun now, isn't it? Because you've got things like chaos pads and everything where you can you can do things that will surprise yourself.
Yeah,
and you think that sounds good, but you've no idea how you did it.
Happy accidents. Yeah.
Happy accidents.
I quite like taking analog synths that don't have any presets on them. So I've got this big old Scottish thing called a Macbeth, which is brilliant. I haven't taken that for a while, but it's great because it's no presets. You just have to set the sound up with all the knobs, and then the next song you've just got to change the sounds as you go along, and you kind of surprise yourself, and new things develop, and it's great. It's great doing that.
So you're playing this Saturday in Bristol?
Yeah.
Is that an open air one?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is.
Yeah, it could be a tent. I think it is. No, I don't think it is.
Might be a big rave tent.
Is it a big rave tent?
I think it's outside.
I think it's outside. They've still got 2 stages.
Yeah.
And then the week after, in Brum, the Academy in Brum. And then in October, you're doing a lot of continental shows. Amsterdam, Cologne, Hamburg, Berlin, Poland, Sweden. They'll go nuts for you there, won't they, I guess?
Looking forward to that, yeah.
They'll go nuts for you there. And then Butlins weekend.
Yeah.
Minehead. Get on the big
Shine On weekend.
Get on the big dry ski slope.
Yeah. And we should say there are some theatre shows in the UK in December.
Yeah, the Christmas shows.
Hammersmith and Sheffield Academy, Corn Exchange in Cambridge, Manchester Apollo.
Excellent.
Love it.
Local. Great stuff.
Love it.
Great stuff.
I'm thinking ahead. That might be the night before our last show in the afternoons.
So do you think that might
the
be
night
how it
before?
works?
It's a shame it's not the night of the last show.
It's all right. We don't have to go that.
Well,
we'll have a works night out. Yeah, we will. We'll have a works night out.
We'll have a works night. We'll only turn in a half-hearted last show.
We'll have a works.
We'll go out with a whimper, not a bang. Don't worry.
You can give you a copy of the album. Just play that, and it's just that'll go on for ages.
You can come down the Christmas market with us for an eggnog.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
I love it.
Great stuff. You've just been talking about this track, The End Is Nigh, so we're going to hear it now.
Good video you can watch online and everything, which is worth having a look at. But thank you for coming all this way with your monocle.
Lovely to see you guys.
Thank you very much.
The end is nigh.